All right, welcome to Ed's Jank and MetaZoo. On this week's episode, we have MetaZoo packs. Throw your hands up for them. Hey guys, just been a while since I've done one of these MetaZoo videos. I think seems like some of y'all like them. I don't know. I have really nothing of importance to share. There's really just nothing going on. Just mudslinging. Yeah. I do think we can talk a little bit about the history of MetaZoo. People like to talk about the history. And this is some deep lore. Ooh, lore. Yum. Now, this is a little forum called the Elite Forum. Isn't that a cute name? Oh my gosh. And this forum is really centered around Pokemon collecting. Pokemon. I know people who like Pokemon. Nick's Strength. Nick's Strength's not really a part of the story. I'm just being a little clickbaity. King Pokemon. Gary King Pokemon. What a guy, you know. He walked with a limp because he gangsta like that. Nah, just kidding. We're not making fun of disabilities. Just maybe made up charities. We could talk on that later too, I guess. But King Pokemon back in May 2021. He paints this really cool story about a game about cryptids. And after all, isn't Pokemon just a bunch of cryptids, right? You know, people were chasing around catching butterflies and crap. And how's that any different than a bat squatch? But what does King Pokemon know? He's just a guy who likes the stock, right? Anyways, if you go into the E4 forums, it's really the beginning of the MetaZoo world. And I say this as an E4 myself, at least formerly. Now I'll go ahead and preface this. The E4 forums, you know, it's a fun place. Like if you're a collector and you're into Pokemon, it's just like share your stuff, talk about Pokemon, hype. The Discord is really like where the dregs of the world go. And now the Discord is really just full of people who love to hate things. They hate other opinions. They hate people. I mean, it's just really Reddit on steroids. And as y'all know, I mean, a lot of us are Discorders, but oh my gosh, these guys are just the dregs. And where I'm going with this is basically MetaZoo showed up initially, as far as I could find, on the E4 forums, and it was a platform where Mike and Andy were both on it, and they were sending players, influencers on the forums, cards and stuff like that. They were looking for like influencers, right? And people who would promote their new product, and I mean just normal things that people would be doing. Now, people, I won't say who. Okay, I'll say who. Yeah, SM Pratt, the website's owner, was part of the Pitchfork army that was just like, we hate MetaZoo. It'll never be Pokemon. Look at this. Look at this thing. This looks so much like Pokemon. I mean, just complete ripoff 1-to-1. This guy right here, he's a Pokemon. That art, that's Pokemon. Look, Pokemon card. Oh, I've seen this Pokemon card. That's in the new set, right? The red borders, totally Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, Pokemon was yellow, but come on, this is the total ripoff. No, I thought that was always BS. I think that was a really easy cop-out. And now, MetaZoo, yeah, clearly inspired, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But to go as far as to say it's a ripoff is just so silly to me. Anyways, Gary's over here pumping his MetaZoo bags on the old E4 forums. Some people take to it, other people light him up. And at this point in time, Gary was held in some similar high regard. People talking about cryptids and all this other stuff. And then what happens is enough people get upset about MetaZoo being a pump and dump scheme, which, you know, for spoiler alert, kind of was. But they turned the word MetaZoo on E4 to multi-level marketing. So every mention of the word MetaZoo gets turned into multi-level marketing. It's hilarious. And what is multi-level marketing for those that don't really know? Well, multi-level marketing, it's basically maybe like, I think Herbalife would be a good example, that a modern one that people would know. But it's basically a scheme where one person has a bunch of bags. They convince everybody how nice this product is, knowing full well that they're going to dump and offset it for, an extremely exorbitant rate, only for the next person to grab and dump that product to push it off onto somebody else. Now, that's sort of the TCG industry as a whole, if you're looking at it from an investor standpoint. But to go ahead and replace MetaZoo with MLM is just arguably hilarious. Now, one of my critiques for MetaZoo has always been that they have just been dog water, or they had been at dog water at advertising. I mean, and for a company that did do marketing, but I don't know if it was actually concerted, if it was actually like an effort that they were trying to accomplish. Their marketing was mostly through anti-content, as I'd refer it to, which is the idea of having people talk so negatively about you that it actually grants those mentions. So yeah, Mike tried advertising on the E4 forums and just got completely shot down. And apparently that hurt his feelings. Mike was definitely a very sensitive young man, and I think took some of these comments to heart on the outright. And I will say this. I think if you do look at MetaZoo, especially in the early stages, it was a passion project. So to go on these forums full of these toxic, I guess, neckbeard types and just get lit up, it's just, well, disheartening. Especially when people look up to, I don't know if Mike did. I reckon he did look up to SM Pratt, which, again, for those that don't know, he's kind of like the OG collector. He's like the OG Rudy of Pokemon, without being like hailed as a scammy type guy. He's more of trophy cards and stuff like that kind of collector, just super, super high end stuff. So, and again, he gives this really PR response about MetaZoo, basically saying that we're not trying to endorse another game because it's not Pokemon, right? I'm not going to read all those words to you guys. I can't even read those. But being denied advertising space on Elite Forum, being pumped by King Pokemon, all that stuff. Now, there used to be a time, and I don't know if I could look it up or not, but here we go. I don't know if I could look it up for you guys or not. Let's see what, well, can't search MetaZoo, but there was a time where the initial crew for MetaZoo, all of the founding folks, were pulled from the E4 forums. And there's like Marchander, who was probably the OG, one of the OG R&D people. That was the guy that made Flying Manta Ray. Andy was found here with his vending machine idea that was just a ripoff of the Pokemon vending machine idea. It got you there. And let's see here, Last Chance multi. Yeah, so all those folks. I think CT Rentco was one of the original guys as well. And all these people pulled from this forum, and it ultimately ended up in a lot of bad will. So Mike basically said, I'm leaving E4. I'll make my own casino, or I'll have my own E4 with blackjack and hookers, right? And mark my words, 3 years from now, whatever, I'll talk to you in 3 years, mark the time. Okay, well, we're all waiting. So, yeah, I don't know. That's the history, the earliest history of MetaZoo as far as I can recall it. From there, we kind of roll into Patreon stuff and things of that nature. I'm going to go ahead and just cop out and be lazy here and just say, look, y'all go look this stuff up if you want to read into it. Just go to the E4 forums and search multi-level marketing. It's the OG salt caverns for those that are interested. Now to more pressing matters like the MetaZoo packs. throwing her hands up for them, like at the MetaZoo Gala. How much are these things worth, guys? I don't know. Like penny a card, 10 cents a card, 50 cents a card. I don't know. But man, I don't know how you can look at these cards and be like, oh, it's a rip off of Pokemon. Some maybe, but I don't know. It's because they use watercolors. Those bastards. Anyhow, I think that's all I got for this video. I don't know what else I need to ramble on. I could talk about the gala. The gala was funny. I don't know if I'm got the energy to do it or the willingness to do it, but the gala basically was another one of these rug pulls where everybody that showed up thought they were going to be getting this gala pack. They paid $100 entry, and it was supposed to be this big black tie auction. We're riding around New York City wearing black ties in the 90-degree plus humid New York weather, and thinking like, oh, we're going to go to this really formal function. Now, first of all, I felt like an absolute clown heading to Brooklyn in this black tie get up, especially under the pretense that I couldn't even get into the event because I had to wear a black tie. Well, lo and behold, we show up, and of course there's your regular TCG folks, just black t-shirt, polo khakis. I'm dressed up. Yeah, that's not black tie, but whatever, that's fine. And it's like this event down in Chelsea, and it's just this bar, and it's like, I'm thinking to myself, and this is probably the beginning of the end for MetaZoo as well, that something seems off here. I haven't seen Mike at any events like all year. He hasn't the dude didn't even show up to Earth Tower, okay? Which that should tell you everything. When CEO Mike Waddell is like, okay, yeah, I can't be bothered to go to Earth Tower, which is in New York, the city he lives in. So anyways, he makes a brief appearance at this gala, and he knows that this thing is just, it's not what was promised. I could feel the room. It was like, okay, this is a mess. And you go into this dance club, and everybody's heard this story a million times already. If anybody wants to know anything in particular about it, let me know. But there's the COVID dip, which it wasn't actually COVID dip, but it was, the hors d'oeuvres was like literally a bowl of chips and some guacamole shared amongst 75 random dudes. And then the most expensive bar ever, where it's like a $12 beer, which, hey, you're in New York, you're expecting it. And I don't know, I really don't believe so much of this he said, she said, Mike and Shaw drama, because it's actually it's just silly, because there's no way, you're only hearing one end of the story. Now, I will say this, Mike personally has never wronged me, which maybe is like kind of a wimpy statement to say, but Shaw's definitely hooked it up for me before. And I say that because at the gala, that I know it was Shaw that opened up the bar, and everybody went to town. It was like, I'll see if I can find a clip of it. I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but we all went to the bar, and again, everybody's like, $12 for a beer, forget it. Shaw's like, nah, open bar. And that was probably like the most lit I've ever got, at least in relation to a trading card game. Then Logan and Fajir, they're, ninja starring MetaZoo packs at people, and this was like one of the saddest things ever, because I'm at the event and I'm kind of out of it. I'm vibing, drinking with the boys, but there is other people that are scrounging native packs off the floor. And listen, I understand, like, if you're there to flip it or whatever, get that bag, I guess. But there is like a dignity thing. And that's what I have so much of a problem with maybe TCG players in general, especially MetaZoo folks, and me included. I'm part of this, but nobody stood up for themselves. We all got walked over by this company. And, Mike and Andy, I like to believe it was mostly Andy, but, Mike was culpable, right? It's like, if you don't stop the aggressor, are you just as responsible? Probably. Who knows? But it was like, fight back, and we're like, nah, they don't really mean it. No, we let a lot of this stuff happen, and I think that's the why MetaZoo has failed videos. The why MetaZoo has failed. Check out my video. I was totally not there. I wasn't a part of this bullshit. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about, dude. I was at all this shit. Ground zero, man. Let me say this. We, as in the player community, the collector community, investor community, we allowed all this stuff to happen. You know why? Because it was fear. It was fear driven. Oh, man, if I say the wrong thing, no more MetaZoo for me, no more bag. I was making money. I was flipping this stuff through and through. I looked at their comps, man. Listen, I know despite what you thought about MetaZoo, you could still make money on it almost up until the end. You still can't even right now. Like, with this new company buying out MetaZoo, which is actually happening. I'm not at liberty to say who's buying it, but it's a real buyout. That these cards are still selling for a decent amount on eBay. Now, listen, I know, dead card game, why would you buy that trash? Whatever. And then, are you pricing in for speculation on the new company that's buying it? Who knows? What I can share is that it will be very likely a different game. So take that for what you will. I think, maybe you can compare it to WotC era, but if mechanically it changes and the cards are never like functionally the same, then what does that mean? There's value in it for the collectors for sure. Like your really rare collector's pieces make sense, but your bulk holders and booster box positions probably might not mean a lot. It's really hard to say. But we'll see. They could turn it around. Like I said, golly, lightning in a bottle. That, I've said this before. This is MetaZoo, right? Like, this is MetaZoo's card. The art still slaps. They still own the art. They could probably still, even if they redesign the mechanics or whatever for the game, the art, I reckon they would try to repurpose. But it is funny how many people think they know about the story for MetaZoo. And I'm not saying I know everything. It's just I think everybody gets bait and switched a little bit where they go, oh, check out my clickbait title. And I love clickbait titles, but it all started with E4. And then I could go into the Discord dramas. The Patreon was the only thing that I was out on. But I don't know how much all that matters anymore, or who all cares about that stuff. There's playtester drama, the drama of the first bannings, the people talking about Mike's sister, the look on Mike's face during the sneak out stream where he realizes that the seance boxes are mapped. It goes on and on and on. But all I want to know is, can you put your hands up for some MetaZoo packs?